Hey, welcome back. It's me. It's he, him. It's me. It's your fucking host, Smeth. It's time to talk to Sasha Fem Reznov. Who wanted to do this with me? I can't be held accountable for what fucking happens. This is your fault somehow. I know it. We're going to talk about deeply personal things. We're talking about autogynephilia and our experiences. But I didn't transition, and she did. The conflict is pretty obvious, and I might be I told her I didn't want to do this, but she really wanted to. I don't know how it's going to turn out. We'll see. Well, let's fucking call. Let's get this show on the road. I'm a little bit late. I'm a bad guest. I'm 5 minutes late. Hello, Ethan Stapley. Welcome. I'm so glad that you have diarrhea. Actually, I'm not. But I'm glad that I don't. And isn't that all anybody can ask for? Let's fucking go. Autogynephilia. Attraction to yourself as a woman. All you ladies are doing it, well, why can't us men do it too, huh? You feel so sexy wearing your short shorts, well, why can't I feel sexy? I'm waiting for Sasha to pick up the phone. But until then, I'm feeling myself. You know when you see me walking down the street wearing a dress, you know. Oh, you know I'm loving it. And you don't like that. Well, if you didn't have diarrhea yet, you have diarrhea now. This song makes me so emotional. Because I played those games and I loved them, and this song happens during a really emotional part. Fucking Sans. He won't let you do it. He won't let you do it. You've killed his friends. You've killed everyone. You've killed everyone he could ever. Everyone in his life. They're all dead. And he won't let you do it. a good game. Oh, you can see two of me. I didn't even realize that. I wasn't paying attention. Well, I was late. But now there's two of us. Yo. Answer the phone. Answer the Discord phone. Answer the Discord phone, Sasha. Answer the Discord phone, Sasha. Answer the phone. Answer the phone. Answer the phone. Oh, I'm just calling. This is me. You can tell. I'm losing it. I'm tired a little bit. I am retarded. Calm the fuck down. We'll figure this out. 2 streams today? Yes. Two streams for me. 2 streams for you. I'm going to tell somebody. I'm going to tell a trans person that I don't think it's good to transition. If she will pick up the phone. The eclipse is on its way. I have to work during the eclipse. I don't give a fuck about the eclipse, but I have to work. That makes me want to see it more. I didn't care, but now I do. Jesus Christ. There's no rest for the wicked. What does that say about me? She's not picking up. That makes me angry. Fuck. That last conversation took a lot out of me for something around the end there. Let me fucking pull my shit together. Let me pull my shit together. And get this. Fucking pull it out of me. You ever have a dog? You ever have a dog that eats a whole fucking wad of yarn, and you have to pull the yarn out of its throat, and you just keep pulling, and it keeps coming, and you have to keep pulling, and it just keeps coming. And you look in the dog's eyes, and the dog's looking at you like, what the fuck is going on? That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at myself right now in my camera, and I'm that dog, and I'm pulling the yarn out of my throat. That's what you're watching happening right now. And I'm looking at you too, and you're looking at me looking at you, and you're pulling it out of my throat. I did this to myself, but you're also complicit. Sasha just messaged me. She said, hold on, I'll be right there. Now she just said ready. There's two of me.
Hello.
Hello.
Let me see if I can add a camera. Get the screen right. Cool, and then if I... single guest. There we go. Nope, still not displaying quite right. Darn.
What's wrong?
It's just a display issue.
Yeah, but can you describe it? I might be able to help.
Basically, I'm trying to capture the Discord window and have it framed for our webcams, but neither of our webcams are showing up. Wait, maybe if I disable streamer mode? No.
Are you streaming window capture?
It should be a specific window. Discord capture both.
Just make a new window capture.
Okay.
Just click the plus button at the bottom of sources, and then click window capture, and then find you should pop me out in the Discord call, and then
Discord 2 window Discord. Damn, it's a bit. Oh my god, this is so scuffed. Yeah, you're a bit offset for some reason. I don't know why. Now, because I'm stressing, I'm clicking rapidly like an idiot. Okay, I'm going to delete this and start it over again.
well,
Oh. Hold on. Maybe if I switch the hierarchy. No, not there. Yeah, so that's not good. Delete. Alright, Discord 2, let's go.
you got this. I believe in you.
Thank you. Alright. I see what it was. It was just cropped incorrectly. So if we just full screen, there we go. That'll have to do. I had this stream set up for when I talked to Ruby, but and I was expecting it to just pick up our webcams from the window, but it was like cropped and all like special and stuff. But anyways,
yeah. Ruby space K. Ruby space K. That's
how you pronounce it?
That's how I pronounce it.
Okay.
That's how you caught a whiff of me downwind from Ruby, right? And then you send me a message.
Well, Aaron already told me about
Oh, yeah.
potentially speaking to you. I remember you talking to her, and I also remember you talking to Sleepy last year.
Oh, you know Sleepy?
I did. We're not exactly friends.
I see.
Yeah, so I've noticed, so I have some, like, background knowledge on you, and that's sort of what inspired me on this, in addition to Ruby encouraging me to reach out.
I told you I thought this stream is a bad idea.
Don't worry, I'm not like a debate board or anything.
No, that's not what. No, that's not what it is. It's that you are saying that you are a you're saying that you are a self-aware autogynephile.
I wouldn't say definitively that is the end all be all of my trans experience, but I do feel like it's either in part or in whole component to my sexuality and gender identity. I'm not sure if I believe in literal Blanchardism, where it's the underlying mechanism for gender dysphoria, but there are things about the AGP experience I relate to. Does that make sense at all?
It sounds okay. So I can answer the question if that makes sense, but I'm already very aware of the fact if I answer that I'm going to engaging with you critically about something so personal to you seems like I could hurt you. It's just abusive. I'll answer that, and then you'll get a feel for what I mean. So that sounds to me, it makes sense that it sounds very non-committal. You're not committing to a specific thing.
Sure.
You don't want to pin yourself down, which is fine. I mean, I was just talking about that last stream. I don't like when people ask me about like they try to make me define myself. So, but so how do you feel about me saying that sounds non-committal?
I mean, I think that's accurate.
Okay. I was considering reaching out to Sleepy. Reached out to me like a couple weeks ago and said that he wants to debate somebody about trans stuff, and it wanted me to find somebody and then moderate. But I told Sleep the same thing I told you. I think it's that I don't know, like. I would need to find somebody that is like really open to like be a fighter, because like just some random like vulnerable person just going to get debated about with their like personal identity is just very cruel.
Well, I felt like I indicated this in the chat that I wasn't trying to make it like a hardcore like debate. I more so just wanted to hear you out and sort of pick your brain to understand your thought process on AGP and how, if our personal experiences overlap, and why is one of us a woman and why is one of us a man.
Okay, well, yeah, that's kind of what I think the conversation is too, but I feel like going down that path, I feel like not transitioning was really good for me.
Hold on. My microphone has not been on the whole damn time.
I can hear you just fine.
Oh, no, it wasn't on stream. Okay, there we go. All right, so we were kind of just doing a bit of a preamble on setting up the conversation. So you didn't miss much chat, but let's get into this.
Yeah. Well, now they're not going to hear any of my concern about the conversation, so they're going to just hear me jump right into being an abusive scumbag. So.
Ouch. All right, go for it.
Well, I didn't transition, and I think it was very good for me. I think that had I transitioned, I would not tell you that I regretted it, because there's because there's no to be a detransitioner or to admit that it is a really traumatic thing. Like there's you have so much investment in these major decisions you've made in your life that you really have to lock in. And at the point at which you were like at the point at which you actually decide it was a bad idea, it means that it's really built up to an extreme amount, and until that point it's just going to keep building and maybe never get to that point, depending on what kind of environment you have or what kind of support. I think that it makes your life worse, and I'm glad that I didn't do it.
Okay, so I think this is sort of what I gathered from your DMs, that you didn't think it specifically it wasn't right for you. You think that although you do engage with like trans people as a gender they identify as, and you understand that some people take transition seriously, you don't think it's a good idea for anyone. Is that correct?
Right. I don't. Yes.
Okay.
But you have, and I respect you and respect you as a person, and I care. I mean, I don't know you, but I mean, I care about you as a person. I also think like, so like if I was the king of the world, I wouldn't let people transition, but people who have transitioned, I wouldn't take it away from them, and because like that's another transition. Like, you know, so like that's who you are now, and so like I respect that, because like you know, like it would be another transition to take away your hormones. Now you're transitioning again to another thing, and you know, that's who you are.
Like, I'm actually at the point where I'm not sure if I would need mastectomy or not in order to reintegrate as a dude. Like, I'm less than 2 years, but I've already made a little bit of progress. Also, I would not be able to grow proper facial hair because I've had laser on my face.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so honestly, part of my thought process in transitioning is that I kind of always want there to be sort of a path for exit, potentially, if I feel like this was not right for me, this was a mistake, and I keep that in mind in terms of like what surgeries I might want. So I've actually not had any surgeries right now, and when I got laser I thought, well, if I detransition I'll just be a smooth cheek guy with like a soft baby face. That's fine. Having gynecomastia as a guy, I guess that would kind of suck, but I'd learn to work around it.
What's that?
Gynecomastia is when men have breast tissue. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've always thought of being able to set up an exit ramp while I'm still feeling this all out. But so far, I'd say my frustrations lie with like the slowness of progress. So although you sort of engage with trans people as the gender they identify as, you believe that there's like a fundamental like chasm between sexes. Is that correct?
Yeah, and
Okay.
Like when you say engage, like to you, and like I'm gonna use the right pronouns because that's how it's introduced with you, and I care about your feelings and stuff. And I see you as a trans woman, and like I see like so I see you as a male who has on like various hormone stuff, and that distinguishes you from most males, and but I think that distinguishes you from females.
So I'd say that my point of view is that in terms of both like sex and in terms of gender, especially if you're medically transitioned, both should sort of fall under the category of female, but obviously there are biological differences between trans women and cis women. But in your case, I'm guessing you define sex based upon like what genome determines which gametes you're supposed to produce or something like that.
I define it as I define this sexes by our bimodal reproduction.
Right, and because I would never, probably not. We don't know what the future holds, but I'm probably never going to ovulate. So for that reason, I would be considered a male in your mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just don't think you can change your sex at all. Like you can make it so that I could get castrated and then I wouldn't be able to reproduce, but like you can take away your sexual functionality, but you can't create new so I would feel totally different about everything trans if it was actually easy and possible to actually like change your sex. But I don't think it's actually possible. Like if it was possible and wasn't like too like extreme and traumatic, I would just, if you could just push a button and change your body, then I'd be like, that'd be the coolest thing. I would do it just for fun every day.
Honestly, something that I kind of wish, based upon my own trans experience, is that I could just, those like Animorphs books where they like switch between animals?
Yeah.
I wish I could just like do that with my genitals. Like back and forth on a whim as I feel like it. Yeah. Honestly, I think that would be really sick.
That sounds like
You're judging me.
Of course. It sounds like and I'm not judging you in like that sounds like a bad, because that seems not it sounds unachievable. So
sure,
that makes sense to your hesitation and you're wanting to have an out.
Oh, I see how you tied that up to what I said earlier. That's very insightful, I guess. Yeah. I guess I'll ask more about your personal experience. So, I remember from the Sleepy conversation, she was trying to like delineate autogynephilia from gender dysphoria. Whereas, like, would you say that for you, AGP is purely in like the realm of your sexual inclinations, or do you consider yourself as ever having or having had gender dysphoria?
I definitely had gender dysphoria, that's for sure. The way that Phil Illy defines it is very tied to autogynephilia. So a lot of the dysphoria comes from a complex way that autogynephilia happens, and it could be embodied in less sexual ways, but it comes from an underlying sexual pathology. That's the way he defines it.
I feel like pathology is kind of a negative word, but it's an underlying mechanism. Like I would say it's gesturing it earlier, right?
I would say that it's pathology.
Oh, ouch. Okay.
Like,
go ahead.
Well, yeah, I think if you are transitioning, I would say that is a negative outcome. So whatever is making you transition, if it's so critical for you to transition, it would have to be defined as a pathology, because it's not good. It would be better if you weren't trans, because then you'd be happier and healthier. Right.
Honestly, if you were to like send me back to the drawing board and give me like the character loadout screen and be like, pick woman, pick man, or pick being born as a boy, pick being born as a girl, I'd pick being born as a boy again and just transition. Like, I do not prefer myself to be a cis woman. A lot of trans women feel very differently on that and feel like they are inferiors to cis women, but I just see myself as a unique way of woman being a woman, coming from a male history. And for better, for worse, that's how I see myself, and I think there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, there's absolutely nothing wrong with however you see yourself. I think I believe that when I wanted to transition, when I was wrought with dysphoria and thoughts of gender euphoria, and like that would be very blatantly autogynephilic, a lot of these different things at the same time. I wanted to be, what are they called? NB. I wanted to be these non-binary women, these skinny non-binary women that go by they and them. That's what I wanted to be. I didn't want to get breasts. I just wanted to be one of them. And they are becoming more androgynous from being a woman. And they were the people that were the coolest at art school, and I'm very sexually attracted to them. I'm sexually very attracted to tomboys, and my sexual attraction to them was confusing because I also had a lot of resentment towards them that I wasn't really aware of, because they had the social they had the social role, and I was jealous of their position and their privilege and how much everybody loved them and cared so much about them and how everything they did was so amazing. And so that, I'm sure, was wrapped up into it, and partly, I think, became embodied because my sexual interest in them prevented me from really admitting that to myself. So I was just like, well, it made me, I couldn't see how much I hated them, so I wanted to become them.
Funny enough, I actually started off considering myself to be non-binary as well, and was very specific on how I wanted to transition. I was like, okay, I don't want the typical cross-sex hormones. Breast development sounds scary, but then eventually I found that what I really wanted was selective estrogen reception modulators, but then I found out they are inaccessible from any legitimate medical you'd have to DIY them for some obscure sources, was my understanding. So I got low dose monotherapy from Planned Parenthood, tried that out, and I was like, okay, this is doing almost nothing. I pair it with moderate dose of spironolactone. As soon as I did, there was just a switch that went off my mind. I just felt really, really good in my head. My thoughts were so much clearer. I just woke up smiling, very joyful. And when I initially ended up in the Tanner 2 stage of breast development, I was like, how do I feel about that? So I actually did something that I had never done before. I was trying on clothes for some friends on Discord, and I was like, wait, what if I had boobs? So I tried. Actually, this is very interesting. I used to wear sports bras religiously back when I identified as non-binary, despite myself not really think of that as a woman's chest. And yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I was just really religious about wearing sports bras back then. So I tried it out. I was like, well, let's create a fake bust to go with my sports bra and put a shirt over it and see how I look. And I saw it and I was like, actually, I really like that. Maybe this is something I should embrace. So I started off identifying as non-binary, and then I sort of incrementally, I was like, okay, I'm not down the middle non-binary. I'm a non-binary trans femme. I voice trained, I adjusted my gait, I adjusted my hairstyle, and I've been incrementally improving my wardrobe. And I feel like I've really well integrated the social role of woman, and I pass decently well in person. But about 6 months in, I was like, who am I kidding myself? I'm a trans woman. Nothing about me is non-binary at this point. Do you think that you might eventually identify as a woman if you took the, or you might go down a
Maybe.
similar
I
trajectory
think
as me? Okay.
I think it is like something that once you start it's gonna ramp up because you're kind of like you don't want to exist in some like middle ground. You want to, yeah.
So at the time when you considered yourself gender dysphoric, you were internally non-binary and you wanted a non-binary transition option. But
I believe that identity is not something that we are born with. It's something we develop.
sure.
And I think that having problems with your identity, and obviously we clearly disagree. And I mean, I made it abundantly clear. I don't need to be you can do this. You've gone this far. Don't let me fucking stop you. Okay. You've already gone too far for me to stop you. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. So I'm not saying this. I believe that it's, if you have problems with your identity, the healthy solution is to stop. The attachment to your identity is a problem. And if you are a black person and you think about it every day and you hate the fact that you're black, it's because you're living in an environment where everybody constantly reminds you you're black and treats you different. And whatever, like, or like the stuff you watch on TV, the music you listen to, you're getting these messages, and the identity of black it's very painful. There's definitely a lot of people like that. Kidology talks about that, and for very complicated reasons, especially because she's adopted in apartheid South Africa, so even more weird and complicated. And I think that though it may be very hard, letting go of these attachments is the optimal best solution. And I think that some people, it may be really hard, bordering impossible to let go of that. But I think that most people that are transitioning are not like that. And dysphoria is not a permanent state. I think that it is a, like, I think that too, if you are not somebody who has it so ingrained, maybe like Kidology, like if you had give Kidology the option to take pills so that she'd be white and like whatever, she'd look white, like, because she gets a lot of like distress from that, and it's complicated, and she's changed her environment and it's still there, and it's because it's deeply ingrained in her childhood and her childhood trauma.
I remember something she revealed pretty recently is that she wears a wig in her videos to appeal to more Western standards of beauty.
Yeah, I think it's also to her own self-image too.
Right.
And so, like, I think that most people's gender dysphoria is not nearly so deeply embedded in hardcore childhood trauma, though it might be. Like it very well might be. But I think that it isn't. Well, yeah, it probably is embedded in like trauma and shit. But it's just. I don't know. I was able to, like, the less that I care about how I dress, and the less, like, learning that I deserve to be treated well, and to advocate for that. If I'm like I'm jealous of like how women are treated and stuff, I just talk about it, and I don't internalize that as something wrong with me. I see that as something wrong with the people around me, and they're all assholes, and I just yell at women instead of transitioning. I just get mad at women.
Yeah, I feel like when it comes to like issues of identity, it's very important to sort of ground what's what's more or less intrinsic to me versus what do I feel as a result of my environment or my circumstances or society. Um, Personally, I think that from what I understand, sexuality, and I guess if we're to sort of what's the word? If we're to sort of just grant that gender dysphoria is a consequence of autogynephilia, at least for trans women who identify as lesbian or bi, such as myself, um, then sexuality is there's a gene that is activated by your environment, but you can't really control easily for how it's activated or when. We don't know what environmental factor it is. It just kind of activates seemingly randomly.
I don't believe it's a gene. I don't think that makes sense. Because I just don't think a gene can be like you can. I don't think you can have a gene to have a specific identity. So I think that no matter whatever proclivities you have that are genetic proclivities, how society makes you feel about yourself because of those proclivities isn't you, it's them. And so I think it's everyone. If you're trans, I think it's not you that's the problem. I'm defining it as like something that's not a healthy, like ideal thing. It would be ideal if you weren't trans, but it's not you that's the problem. It's everyone else around you. Everyone in your life is an asshole. That's what I think.
Honestly, I feel like a lot of trans women will say this, but I feel the opposite, where everyone, no one was telling me things that made me think, oh, you need to be a woman, or there was no like social input that was encouraging me to be a woman. Like,
well,
I
think that, like, for me, it was a resentment towards women and the self-hatred for being a man and the sexual masochism and a lot of different things. But it could also just be a overwhelming amount of dissatisfaction with yourself and feeling like you want to be someone else.
So for me, I describe gender dysphoria as sort of being the contrapositive of autogynephilia, autoandrophobia. Perhaps the underlying mechanism for it is based in my sexuality, as would be indicated by Blanchard. But so like I was a pretty normal boy growing up, gender-wise at least. I was cripplingly autistic, so not normal in that way. And like as a teenager, I was mostly like content with like male puberty, but around like the 10 or 4 or 5 stage where I started having like masculine body hair growth and like my skeletal portions started masculinized, I was just like, this is the most horrible thing imaginable.
I felt the same way.
What's happening to me? Okay.
But letting go, I fought that, and I was like a femboy, and fighting that was like so much work. And when I was a femboy, the women that I dated me because of all that work, and they didn't date me for me, and a lot of them hated men, and the people that I ended up having in my life hated men, and they kind of fostered that self-hatred in me and depended on it for the relationships. I found that to be the case just in the trans LGBT community at large, queer community in Boston. And I letting go and not caring, feeling like I deserved to be like loved with like hairy legs and stuff was like really big thing for me.
Well, when I started to, it wasn't the...
Wait, can I add on to that? So
Sure.
Males in patriarchal culture have an issue because our mothers, when we turn maybe like 16, or when we start becoming, like when we start going through puberty, it happens more and more. Our mothers are socially, they distance themselves and cut us off emotionally. And this is like a very talked about thing I've recently learned in psychodynamic theory, like Freudian stuff. And I wanted, like, so that's part of my resentment and hatred of myself too, because I basically was cut off in that way, and I felt unloved and undeserving. And that's the state of men. You have to feel like you have to work really hard to just deserve to be loved. And that's what we keep telling. Oh, you think you deserve to be loved, incels? No, try harder. You don't deserve shit. And it's really, that's what men believe about themselves, and we tell them to believe about themselves, and we don't. And yeah.
I believe similarly there could be like females who mistake themselves for trans men because they hate being women due to living in being exposed to like sort of a lot of like misogyny.
Oh yeah.
I don't think that makes them trans men. I think that means they are being treated like shit, and they need to either find a better environment or learn to like not be affected by all these assholes.
Well, it could be like, it could be less direct. It could be the stuff they're seeing on TV, the people they look up to. I don't like it. It could be the case that everybody in their life seems like I think there's something wrong with their environment, but it could be way more complex than just the people around them bullying them. And it, like I said, it could also just be a dissatisfaction with themselves and who they are as a person. And maybe everybody's kind and stuff, but they wished that people would treat like people would look to them with authority, or like it's not like people are being particularly misogynistic or cruel. It's just they want something else. And when we are growing up and we're becoming, and we're kind of given this like, you are crafting yourself, and it's like, who do you want to be? And when who you want to be looks like a dude, then that really, I think that could really become entrenched.
I feel like our society, increasingly so, is rewarding androgyny in your temperament. Like, women are taking a lot more masculine roles, and they know how to like assert themselves better and take charge of their lives the way men do.
I don't agree.
Okay.
I think systemically we're like getting rid of systemic imbalances and stuff, but those androgynous women, they're just being androgynous so that I'll fuck them. Really, they're doing it for men. It's all for me, and I don't want that. I think
it's the exact opposite.
Well, that's what they think, and that's the message they're taught. I remember so many girls in college like being like, "Oh, I wear black lipstick so I can take it back." I'm like, it makes me want you to suck my dick. You don't know what you're talking about. Like, it doesn't. If that was true, it should make me like, it shouldn't. I shouldn't. But actually, that turns me on. So it doesn't make sense to me. I don't think that they. I think it's all a lie. I think it's double speak.
So you've been a little bit critical of like where I'm coming from, and so I guess I'll put a little bit of criticism your way.
Absolutely.
What it feels a lot like is you have a very personalized experience with like your exploration of your identity, and you want to sort of universalize it to others that would fall under the autogynephile umbrella in a way that's potentially not applicable. How do you feel about that?
I don't agree. I have a lot of ideas about different reasons that you would end up wanting to transition, and mine was just one of them. And I know, like I said, that yours like is probably different, and I've talked about some different reasons why that could become. I do have one. Like, I do think that it stems from dissatisfaction with yourself and a desire to be someone else. Whatever that can be embodied in so many different ways, and that can be pathologized in so many different ways. But I think like everybody's experience is going to be personal. but I'm not like, my experience is just one of, like, I don't think everybody had the same experience as me.
Okay. So one way I was trying to carve out differences for us in terms of like social experience is when I did start experiencing the like later stages of puberty and started taking on more of a man appearance. At the same time of thinking, part of me was like, maybe I'm non-binary, maybe that's what this is. But another part of me was like, no, you're just growing and developing. Maybe every man experiences this, and they have to kind of, and maybe it's distressing for all of them, but you kind of have to grow up and take it on the chin. And I remember around like 2014, that's when I was, that was my first year as an adult, or in 2015, second year. Um, that's when Gamergate happened. So I was turned away from the sort of SJW like mindset, and that made me very stringently trans medicalist, and I had a very black and white understanding of gender dysphoria, where I thought, well, I'm not having a literal like PTSD level severity trauma response to my body. I just really don't like it. Therefore, I can't possibly be trans in any way. Non-binary, yeah, that's probably made up. So I resisted it for many, many years, and it wasn't until like around early 2020 that I started having like where I lost a lot of weight. I realized, no, I still hate the way I look. It's the masculinity that seems wrong. So I was like, okay, maybe I need to be a more feminine man. Got rid of my goatee and stuff. Well, actually, throughout my entire adult life, I've been very fastidious about like body hair removal. Like I've shave away all male body hair, shave my legs. Like I've been doing that even in my late teens too. Yeah,
I did that, and I had that same, and then going on a date having not shaved my legs was like a horrific experience for me that I put myself through. And I learned that I can actually be, I felt like I was ugly and unlovable. But I never felt I never felt that particularly that I was like ugly by other people's standards. I don't know. It was confusing. I was just kind of I did think that women wouldn't find me attractive if I didn't shave my legs, but I also was like, yeah, I didn't appreciate myself really. I just was completely obsessed with this very narrow vision of what other people see that wasn't true. I You said that you still felt ugly and you tried to like push through it.
correct. Well, eventually I also started cross-dressing. I thought, okay, I guess I'll be a femboy part-time. I feel really cute like this, but also like I was in like the Norwood Free stage of male pattern baldness, and like I had a lot of really bad like razor burn and beard shadow back then, and it's just like, who am I kidding? I'm not like a cute femboy. Like I'm giving off really strong Buffalo Bill vibes.
Yeah, it was easy for me in that situation because I was a little more femboy-y. Not even the best you could ask for, but I was more femboy-y. I think that when you feel ugly, the natural response is to want to change what you look like. But I don't think that that's like, and we're told that like by like every single commercial that we can do that, and we should, and you just need to buy all these beauty products, and like every woman wears makeup every single day, and that we have to constantly like try to change how we look so that we don't feel ugly. But I think that it really doesn't.
I'm actually wearing no makeup today. This is my clean look, natural look.
Cool. But
yeah,
I still think that the problem is not solved by changing how you look. I think that the feelingness of ugly only if you only don't feel ugly when you have changed yourself, then you still feel ugly. You just have to do all this stuff to not feel ugly, but you still have the underlying feeling. And when I allowed myself to feel ugly and still be open to being loved, then that changed everything.
So, do you still feel like disgust or discomfort with existing in like a masculine male body, or
no,
or did it dissipate over time?
No, I still feel a little bit like I am aging. These things freak me out. I gained a little bit of weight. That freaks me out. This is facial hair. I've only had like facial hair for like 2 years. Like I shaved every single day. Before that, I shaved my legs every single day. I just like my body's still changing, and it will until the day I die, and it's always going to horrify me every single step of the way. But I just feel, because I put myself in situations where I would be loved. I just feel attractive, and I feel like I just kind of am attractive, even though my teeth are fucked up. I have really fucked up teeth, but my philosophy is like I could spend a shit ton of money to fix my teeth, but I would rather just make my fucked up teeth beautiful and be accepted without having to change my teeth.
I feel like there's a difference between having like flaws versus having something being at a fundamental level wrong.
Well, what's fundamentally wrong about you?
I don't. Just well, what was is I did exactly what you were talking about, where I existed in society as a man for others. Like I had male role models. I like a lot of rock and heavy metal music, so I actually had the long hair throughout my adult life, and like I saw like the facial hair styles these cool rock stars had. I was like, oh, I want to try that. Oh, I look kind of like them. That's kind of neat. Women apparently dig the long hair. That's neat. I can get a girlfriend.
But I'm not saying because for me it was letting go of wanting to look like anybody that wasn't me.
Well, I felt like for me I was doing the exact opposite when I tried the whole man thing. Like I was trying to be others. Being like, that looks good on them, maybe it'll look good on me. Or I exist as a man, and that makes my girlfriend happy. Or like, oh, my mom thinks I'm handsome. Like I was doing man for everyone but me. And then I realized that fundamentally, like existing in society as a man and having male biology was like destroying me. And like I really do feel like I was on the way to an early grave if I were to not transition.
Right.
before 30.
What I'm saying is, for the thing that is different is that I did feel like when I was like with my girlfriend, I feel like, oh, she likes that I'm a man, and that's like for her and everything. And I felt like everything about me was like for other people in so many ways, and I just stopped thinking about myself as for other people at all, and I stopped caring about changing myself to match anything, and I just let myself be. Like I don't care if I'm even like ugly. Like it's just being and not needing to do anything to feel comfortable.
I feel like your mindset of like, I'm going to just live in perpetual horror at my body because I'm growing old. If I resolve one thing and another thing's going to crop up, I feel like that's not like typically how people handle aging. Like a lot.
That's because they're in denial.
You think that like women who like embrace their gray hair like secretly hate it, but they're in denial, for example?
I don't know. No, I didn't say that. But I mean, yeah, I think that every woman and every man, when they get old and their body starts to get fucked up and like weird and doesn't work as good, and they get treated different because they're old, they're all horrified, and it's a horrible experience.
I would not think that would be horrible. I think it'd be like, oh, well, all good things come to an end. I'm getting older. And they like adjust to it.
Yeah, so your life, the good thing that was your life is now not good. So...
But you get to like retire, you live your twilight years of your life, and like you have progeny potentially.
Maybe, but your body is... I'm talking about your body, and I'm saying that your body gets wrinkled and doesn't work as good, and you get ugly, and everything goes wrong until it goes so wrong that you actually just die.
I was really scared of getting older as a man, especially with the hair loss, but as a woman, I embrace getting older. Like, the idea of me being like a wrinkly old grandma someday, that doesn't really faze me much at all. And like, I remember my ex like telling me that she wanted to grow old with me and wanted to see wrinkles on my face. And I liked that.
Well, I see that as a way of taking control, because you're in a state of becoming, and if you're in a state of becoming, it kind of distracts you from the entropy, because becoming, it feels like the opposite of entropy, but really things are going to get taken away from us until like you keep taking a Jenga block out, and that's your body and your health and your mental well-being, like your ability to have a functioning mind and your ability to walk, and I think pieces just keep getting taken out slowly but surely, and then they start getting taken out even more fast, and then you die.
Something I'll say about my paternal grandfather who died recently is I remember like my dad staying with him and explaining everything in depth. In fact, he was the only grandparent who just died of old age and didn't like have like a catastrophic illness or anything of that sort. So like he had been working on a book about his experience being a soldier in World War II, and he around the time he finished that book, that's when he was like, okay, I've fulfilled my purpose. And then he eventually just kind of stopped eating. And initially my dad was sort of in denial, thinking like, okay, he's old, digesting when you're old kind of sucks. Maybe I can cheer him up with like some good alcohol or like a 5-star meal, and like having his son spend time with him. But then he realized, no, he's heading off to his deathbed. This is how it goes. And I think that although it was like a crappy experience of dying of old age, I think his mindset was, I fulfilled my purpose. I think he was 96 when he died. I fulfilled my purpose. I'm happy. I'm content with what I've accomplished. I've left such a legacy, and I have so many beautiful grandchildren. I'm happy. It. I'm happy to leave.
I think whatever you got to tell yourself, whatever works, but it doesn't change the fact that you're dying, and it's the worst thing that will ever happen to you. Ever. It's not possible for anything to be worse. The worst thing that can ever happen to you is going to be the thing that kills you.
Do you think that every single person when they die is terrified out of their mind and wants to live forever?
No. Yeah, well, yeah, I think that people dissociate from the horrors of life and their reality, death being a big one that people dissociate from very strongly. And a big part of that is like religion and stuff like that. And I think that, but it's not just death, like just the things in our life, like people that are abusive, we pretend that they're not. We convince ourselves that everything's okay, and we avoid our problems by confusing ourselves and being dissociated. And being aware, like I feel like most people are going to want to be less aware and more dissociated while they're on their deathbed.
I really do genuinely believe that you can die peacefully. Not everyone has that privilege.
I think it's definitionally, but like peacefully, like sure peacefully, but like it does, like it's. I just don't think death is good. I think it's the worst, like the very worst thing that can ever happen to you.
I honestly feel like just as animals or as organisms, just because of where our brains work and how we accumulate experiences, it's just not, it doesn't feel correct for humans to live forever.
I know, of course. I mean, that's the cycle of life. But I am not my kids. They're separate from me. Like, so having kids or not, like, doesn't change the fact that I'm going to die. Like if you have kids, it doesn't mean you're not going to die.
It brings you fulfillment.
Sure, but lots of things bring you fulfillment, or maybe you don't have a lot of fulfillment. Whether or not you feel fulfilled in your life doesn't change the fact that you're going to die or not. Still happens.
I just don't buy the idea that just everyone on their deathbed or whatever the cause of death is terrified and thinks that this is horrible.
I didn't say that. I said that a lot of them are going to be dissociated. I think most of them become religious before they die. And that's why I think a lot of artists become crappy artists in their old age. I don't think it's because they lose their ability. I think a lot of artists, to be an artist, you have to be to be a good artist, you have to be very self-aware and in touch with your own suffering and your own feelings. And the older you get, the more horrifying it is to be in that state. And because your body's getting worse every day. Nothing's getting, like, you're going to die, and you're uglier. People don't treat you like a young, sexy person anymore. Maybe they look to you for stories or whatever, but whatever. That's still people using you for like whether or not they look at you, come to you for sex, or they come to you for reading them a bedtime story. Those are both examples of other people using you for whatever bullshit. And but I think people are less likely to spend the time to actually connect with you the older you are. Like you've got who you got, and connecting with new people, just because how we treat old people is harder and harder too, which is horrifying, which something we can change. We can be nice to old people. We should. But yeah, so what I was saying was, I think that as artists get old, they dissociate, and a lot of them become religious, and they dissociate, and they stop paying attention to reality, and then their art becomes really bland and repetitive because it represents a fantasy world that they're living in, like a la la land, and so that's why it's uninteresting.
So you do agree that like people aren't necessarily like terrified and suffering when they die, but you don't think that's a byproduct of them being fulfilled or nothing, or
No,
them being at the end of their.
I'm saying that their fixation on being fulfilled by things they've done in their life is
You think that not being
they do
scared
that
of
they
death
do
is a
that
pathology.
I'm saying that they're dissociating. They're not
Isn't
thinking about the fact that they're dying.
Wait, so would you say that dissociation is adaptive?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. You have a very interesting outlook on things, but a lot of it does feel really pessimistic and depressing, honestly.
Yeah, I do have a depressing, but I think that being very aware of death really makes life more meaningful. So many people do shit like they spend their whole lives like earning money or something because they have some like bullshit fantasy in their head, like it'll make everything better, and then they're dying and they're like, oh, I'm so glad I did that with my life, and they convinced themselves of it. Really, they just made themselves miserable, and they made their life suck, and they kept promising themselves that it meant something, but it never did. And it's maybe not money, but it's something. And so many people do this. They have this promise, and because they're trying to not, they're like, oh, it'll be better one day. It'll be better one day. Everyone listening is telling themselves it's gonna be better one day, whatever that might be. But it's actually only gonna get worse from now until the day you die. And knowing that means because I think that and I think about that, I don't let myself fall into these traps where I torture myself for some future that's never going to happen. I want to actually do right by myself and enjoy my life and do right by the people around me, and while we're still here. So yeah.
Honestly, your mindset doesn't feel like what you're telling me about like how you resolve like different like struggles or identities or periods of tumultuousness. Ugh. I need a moment to think about how I phrase this. What it feels like is that you're not, like, you're having these periods in your life where you're experiencing something negative, and you don't experience resolution. You don't experience true acceptance. You sort of resign yourself to it. Do you disagree with that?
Partly. Some things can be resolved, and with acceptance, I just find that the true acceptance comes from within, and if people don't accept me around me, that is on them. And I do find acceptance because I'm like, I need to find people in an environment where I will be accepted, and I'm very against changing myself to be accepted by an abusive environment. So I need to change all of you. So I'm trans. I am trans. I am trans because I need to change. Like, I'm not transing myself. I'm not changing myself. I'm changing everyone around me. It's all my transness is your problem. It's not my problem.
Okay. Oftentimes what I feel like is I cause myself a lot of suffering because of just how unapologetically I am I am about myself, where I'm just like, say a lot of really wild, out of pocket shit. I'm like, hey, I'm just being myself. Fuck you if you don't like that, and kind of drives people away.
Well, good. Fuck them. They don't. They didn't actually give a like. They only liked you when you were hiding it.
Yeah.
Do you want people around you that need that for your friendship to depend on you hiding from them? No. Like, fuck them. Just like, I'm sure there's fucking wild, crazy people that like you at your most wild and crazy. So
Hmm.
it's hard to find them, but
Right.
they exist.
Hmm. So I really don't feel like I'm finally at a part of my life where, well, I'm having a really bad depressive, like maybe I even have like actual diagnosable PTSD in response to that breakup I mentioned, but otherwise, like a big product of me transitioning is thinking like I really want to seize my life. There's no way but for no, there's only forward from here. I want to. That's why I'm in university now. I didn't think that that was a thing I could feasibly do before. Um,
Can I tell you
I want to
how I think that
want a
functions?
successful career. Sure.
Okay, so this is like hardcore psychoanalyzing you. And I'm not,
Okay.
this is not like I'm saying, I'm not passing any judgment when I say this. The way I think that functions,
Okay.
and I think it's actually interesting, and it probably does function effectively in this way. When you do that, I think that it basically you're giving yourself permission and and creating a situation where you get to have another childhood. Kind of like transitioning is like you're growing, you get to grow up again, and you're trying to do
Yeah.
it right.
That's true.
And I think that that is actually in a lot of ways kind of a beautiful thing. And I think that we should be able to give that to people. And I think that trans people are being taken advantage of. And like in my world, you don't agree with me, and that's fine. But in
Sure.
my reality, we should like if you feeling all the ways you feel, we need to like give you that. We need to give you that like that ability to become again and to like kind of grow up again without making you like. I feel like you've been thrown under the bus if you have to transition to get that, But I mean, it from what you said, like it's functioning as that. You're getting that, so it works.
Okay. So what you're saying is that like me being a trans woman isn't horrible, but it's the second best thing to like me living in a society where like it would be livable for me as a man.
Well, I can't tell you that it's horrible for you. I don't think you're saying it's horrible.
Right.
I just think it makes your life worse in a lot of ways, and I find it horrible. I think it's horrible to me. It's horrible that you have transitioned, but not like, but because I think that you are a victim. I think that I believe that we could have done better by you, and you could be happy without transitioning. Maybe they'll prove me wrong, or maybe I'm just like completely ignorant, but I don't think that I am. But I mean, I don't want to take away your reality from underneath your feet. So like I might as well be like a raging ignorant maniac, because that's the thing about this conversation. I don't want to rug pull you on your own self-identity. You know what I mean? It's just so fucking, that's why I told you I didn't want to do this to you.
Well, I care about ideas. That's my main thing. I like being able to like hear out people I might disagree with or who might be coming at things from a very different perspective for me. But yeah, yeah, honestly, it's been very interesting so far. I feel like I have a better feel for where you're coming from, and what sort of your perspective is.
How do you feel about the relationship between autism and trans people?
That's actually so. I'm actually in university for psychology. In fact, I'm very strongly considering like sexology as like an area of study for me. Something that I've hypothesized about is that I believe there's some observed androgyny in autistic brains that creates more malleability for sense of gender. And if you have like an erotic target identification inversion, such as autogynephilia or autoandrophilia, that allows you to like switch gender identity. Um, Whereas like for someone who's more neurotypical, um, perhaps if they do happen to have like self eroticism, it would exist more of a sexual domain, and it wouldn't like change your sense of self. Is this hypothesis I'm sort of working with right now?
It does make sense to me that, and it's interesting that autistic people would have a more androgynous brain. I think that's really interesting. But that makes sense because if you're autistic, you're not as socially enmeshed, and that social enmeshment to the culture is what would make you differentiate. Like, I'm a man, I have to do this, and if you're autistic, you're like, what? I mean, whatever. It's kind of there's a lot of interesting. I think autism isn't obviously if you have severe autism, then it's like 100% a disability. But I think as a trait, I think that it exists in humans beneficially, and I think it's good to have autistic people in society.
That is something I've been thinking about. Like, where should we draw the line between like neurodivergence versus like disorder, mental disorder?
Yeah, I mean,
Or like it's more personal identity versus this is inhibiting your day-to-day function. And there can be overlaps. So I have throughout my life struggled a lot with like socialization, and but I eventually learn and adapt a little bit better over the years, but also ADHD. So that gives me like hyper focus and hyper interest in things, but at the same time, like, all throughout grade school was really impossible to study, and I was just starting to build good habits last semester, but like this semester, just because I'm so like fucked from the breakup, that like, yeah, it's hard to really immerse myself in my studies.
It also makes sense that transitioning would help autistic people with structure.
Honestly, I just feel like my brain works better. Like I can think more clearly. Um, mo- my default emotional state is much more positive than it was before. Like I remember having like a strong sense of like anhedonia, like before I transitioned. But like when I'm happy now, I get all giggly. I stand with my arms.
Anhedonia, what
I
is that again? I knew that word.
Anhedonia. That's inability to feel pleasure.
Oh yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah, and I also did, as a result, some of my feminine mannerisms have sort of emerged as a result of HRT, kind of naturally, and some of them I just like taught myself as like ways to pass better. So like the stim, that just kind of came to me. The voice training, that was very conscious, but I also have like a very like giggly, girly laugh now that just kind of happened. Actually, I've said a few TMI things before. Is it okay if I get into something else?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
It's okay. As long as you don't care.
Sure. I'm an open book when it comes to anything in the sexual domain, but yeah, I'm just consent checking. Something that I've noticed with myself and with other trans women is that we all make like feminine sex noises. Like regardless if you voice train or not. It like I remember like when I had girlfriends, like when I identified as a guy, I like very purposely like stifled myself to not make noise because I thought, oh, I sound like a sissy. That's such a turn off. But then the first time I hooked up as like someone who identified as non-binary, and it was with someone who was a femboy, like just it came out. The woman in my voice came out.
It gives you permission to
in the bedroom.
It gives you permission. Like, so I remember stifling my sex noises. I think a part of that comes from growing up in like, you have to be quiet too. But also I got like complaints from women. Like they're like, you know, like, why are you like making any noise? Like, it's just like, are you okay? Like, you enjoying this at all? And I was like, oh, I felt like I had to do that. Oh, I'm allowed to make noise. And I would say that I definitely have a bunch of different noises that I make, but one of them is definitely very, I don't know, like, you know, just, you know, whatever comes out, and I definitely feel like it can be very feminine sounding.
Yeah.
I had another thought, but
Go ahead.
about like I find so like I am against hormones and surgery. Voice training though, I have nothing against, and I'm just against the alteration. There's not like voice training is, you're not damaging your body. It's just you're just like wearing clothes you want to wear. So just to tell you where I'm at, because you asked, like the only things I'm against are the bodily altercations, and I wouldn't be against them if we could perfectly transition.
Okay. Do you feel like gender dysphoria and body dysmorphia are similar experiences?
Yeah.
Okay.
Similar. Not the same. It's not the same, but it's similar.
Yeah, so the way that I've always differentiated body dysmorphia from gender dysphoria is that there can be resolution to gender dysphoria, whereas like with body dysmorphia, like you get one plastic surgery, oh, it's still wrong, I gotta get another, and revision after revision after revision. And I'm pretty sure Michael Jackson had body dysmorphia, for example, and like there are famous celebrities who have infinite like resources to modify their bodies, but it's never enough. They just keep going. Whereas
I see that as all body modification. Like theoretically, you could always stop at one, but I see it as a slippery slope no matter what. Well, if that was true, like wait, so if your distinction was true, then you wouldn't need to get surgeries or hormones anymore, because you said that it can be fixed, but you do have to continually take them. So,
well, if I were to stop taking my hormones, the progress I've made would reverse or partially reverse.
Right. So I'm saying that it hasn't gone away. You're just you're saying that the difference is that some people have to keep there's no end to the amount of surgery and stuff, but there is no end to the hormones.
Well, it's not as if I'm trying to get mostly within a female reference range for estradiol and testosterone. I've had a bit of a trouble with like the testosterone and also like my mindset towards reduced testosterone has caused me problems, I guess. But it I'm trying to be in female reference range, whereas like if we were to analogize body dysmorphia with taking hormones, it would be like, okay, I don't want to just be a normal female reference range. I want to have like 1,000 picograms per milliliter of estradiol in my bloodstream. I want zero testosterone. I want my brain to shut down from the lack of testosterone powering the amygdala. I just want more of the endocrine profile. I feel like that's what would be more like analogous.
So you're saying body dysmorphia increases with severity, but gender dysphoria doesn't?
What I'm saying is that it's
the severity of treatments, the severity of interventions.
I'd say that body dysmorphia is a problem of you have an inaccurate self-perception of yourself. So when you change your physical body, it doesn't change your internal feeling about yourself. And body dysmorphia is also very intertwined with like eating disorders. So like an anorexic person, like they legit like cannot see how skinny they are according to the way that other people do. Like this is like close to normal for them.
Well, I see it as the same, except it's got an additional element that muddles it. Because I see gender dysphoria as body dysmorphia, but with a social element because gender is more complex than a physiological thing. So.
Hi, Rachel.
So it's got two different parts. Hi, Rachel.
Oh, that was just one of my chatters. I was saying bye to her. Continue, please.
I just think there's more than one part to gender dysphoria. I think that there's a physiological dysmorphia part, and then there's a social perception part, and identity. And the identity is tied to the physical, but yeah.
Well, what I'm trying to say is that there's like a threshold where you can reach resolution through gender transition, whereas like through body dysmorphia, you have to like come to terms with or like find a way to sort out. I'm not actually sure what the exact psychotherapy for body dysmorphia is, but you're not going to be able to resolve your body dysmorphia through body modification. It's your perceptions just going to keep changing against what you're changing. Whereas with gender dysphoria, it's very much the case that you can.
I don't believe that because you can't actually change your sex. So I think that you I don't think it can be resolved.
I honestly kind of like having the unique. There are some things I wish were different, like some of these like very ingrained, like male developed, like skeletal characteristics, like they upset me a fair bit. But in terms of like just having the body of a trans woman, like it's not really a thing I consider negatively. I'm not very upset about the fact that I will almost certainly never ovulate. I'm not upset about the fact I lack a uterus. Like I see a lot of like transphobes be like, haha, you will never be a woman, no uterus, no ovulation, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm me, I'm fine. I don't need to be a cis woman to be happy.
I hate that. That's just they have like no, like they have no, like why the fuck would you be mean? Those people, most of those people are TERFs, right? And they're like trying to brag because like, oh, I've got ovaries, you know. And they're just like those TERFs also, if they're gonna talk to a trans man, they'll be so sympathetic and like, oh, you're so perfect, we need to be nice. And then they'll talk to a trans woman and be like, haha, fuck you, I got ovaries, bitch. And they just hate males, and they see you as a male.
I wasn't thinking of TERFs. I was thinking of like more like chuddy or Nazi male types when I was describing that. Like that's what like a Kiwi farmer or people from there would say, for example. Yeah, TERFs have a very different way of hating trans people, I'd say. Um, for the trans men, it's like sort of feigned sympathy.
Yeah.
Uh, and for trans women, it's more like revulsion and fear. But they'll try to dress it in like, oh, I just have good faith concerns. But really, it comes down to bigotry and disgust. Pretty
Yeah.
much 9 times out of 10.
They're trying to gatekeep. They're trying to gatekeep the female experience. And to that, I say that they don't seem very... No, well, it's complicated.
I have a very personal, like, sexual question that sort of ties things up. Are you familiar with what gyneandromorphophilia is?
Nope.
It's there's a heavy like correlation with autogynephilia, but it's specifically the sexual attraction to the feminine form with a penis. So like you find trans women more who haven't had bottom surgery more attractive than cis women for gyneandromorphophilia. I experienced that to some extent, and a lot of men who experience that may be termed chasers, but I feel like that's unfair so
Yeah.
long as like they're
Yeah,
they're
like,
not like creepy or weird about it.
yeah, like I don't understand the whole chaser thing either. Like, if there's people that want to fuck you because of like what you are, like why would that be? I think you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. I feel
Yeah,
like
that part-
the whole chaser thing, honestly, is I guess comes from the dysphoria, because to know
Yes.
that the other person wants to fuck you because you're not a woman, because you are like, you have a dick, and you know, like they want you for as you are, but you don't want to admit how you are, so that is upsetting.
Well, one thing that I'd say to sort of understand how I differ from like maybe other trans women is like attraction to what you're dysphoric about may be upsetting. So like I don't so at least within the realms of a bedroom, I don't really have bottom dysphoria. Like it's a problem when I go out in the world and like I worry about, oh, do I have things concealed properly? Am I clockable? Um, but like in the bedroom, like I'm very content being a pianist woman. Um, and I find other pianist women attractive. But like at the same time, if like I were to hook up with a straight guy who is like gyneandromorphophilic, and rather than like him complimenting my penis, he were to compliment like, "Oh, I really like your brow ridge. Ooh, I really like the shape of your rib cage." I'm like, that's going to give me the ick.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't think, yeah, like one of the most, I absolutely think that if you want, I think bottom surgery is extremely horrifying. And the fact that we tell people that it's like a viable option really freaks me out, because I don't like, you are going to go from being able to have a sex life to not. And like, it's just not anything you want it to be. And I'm horrified that we lie to people about it.
I think you might be having a very like distorted understanding of what it's like. So it's absolutely not a perfect thing. It doesn't go off without a hitch every single time. But at the same time, there are many people who are just really overjoyed that with what they've got. Like it resembles anatomically what they were looking for. It functions perfectly during sex. They can orgasm, and like if it feels right the way it feels against clothing when they go out in the real world. Like just everything's correct.
I think that there's always a lot of sacrifices. I've heard this from a lot of trans women who have had bottom surgery. Like the doctor will tell you, like, you can have it like visually look right. You can have it feel, you can have it so you can still feel sexual pleasure, or you can have it so that it has like depth, so that other people can actually fuck you, and you can have two and not all three.
Interesting.
Where do you want us to focus on?
Oh, in terms of conversation wise?
No, I meant like the surgeon. Like we'll ask like
Oh.
what are you gonna give up?
Oh, so like the like the exact like employed technique or the I know there are three main techniques that are employed, but I guess like they can make like small micro adjustments to min max for those three things, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I believe so. Like if
Okay.
you aren't focused on depth, then you can do a lot more aesthetically, or you have a lot more room to for function. And yeah, I've seen. Okay, when I was a kid, I jerked off to a trans porn star when I was like a
Mhm.
teenager, and then they got bottom surgery, and then the look on their face when they would like put shit in it and stuff, and it's just like they could see the horror and the
Hmm.
lack of sexual like enjoyment like whatsoever. And so when they kept like they would have sex on camera, but they very rarely put anything in there. It was just anal from that point. And
Hmm.
yeah, it just that
It
was
might have been that just she didn't like dilate properly, so it was physically painful for her.
yeah.
I'm not saying it's as I said, it's not like it's perfect or it never goes off without or it always goes off without a hitch. But at the same time, I feel like you're really over like selling how limited it is,
I think
or
it's
like
like
exaggerating how like
I think it's
universally bad it
I
is.
think you're no, I think it is universally bad. I really do.
Hmm.
I don't think that it it's like you I don't think it resembles a functional vagina and vulva at all.
I've heard of stories where like a trans woman will be examined by a gynecologist and they don't know at initial glance that they are trans. Like that's how good they often are these days.
I don't believe that.
Okay. Hmm. Okay.
Just keep the just keep the dick or whatever. Just fucking whatever.
I think that's what I've resolved
I
upon.
know
But I,
that's why I'm comfortable saying it with you because you're not. I'm not.
yeah. Hmm. I, as opponent of like AGP for you, do you experience like gynandromorphophilia to
Um,
any extent?
I guess a little sometimes. I mean, it's not any
Hmm.
major thing for me, but once in a while.
Yeah.
But I'm also I am open to my gayness too, but I'm mostly straight.
Oh, you identify as, oh, so you're like heteroflexible, I guess?
I don't even believe that. I believe that nobody is actually straight and nobody's gay. I think that
Sure.
we have uh, I think that we have latent homosexuality, and
Hmm.
for some people it might be very buried and unreachable,
Hmm.
and some people it's not.
Well, that's sort of what I'm getting at. Like, you're discouraging me from getting bottom surgery. Like,
But you
you
already
think
said you
that
didn't want it, so that's the only reason I'm saying that. I'm saying
well,
that.
no, no, no. Let me finish.
Okay.
You don't think that like penis women are unattractive. Like, why is trans woman existence like bad? Like, I feel like it's a beautiful thing in and of itself, even if it's separate from cis woman.
Right. I was saying that I believe that those non-binary women that I wanted to be, those women that wear black lipstick and they say this is for me, it's not for men, but I know it's actually for me because it actually turns
Oh, you're
me.
talking about like VAFABs, right?
Yes, and I think it
Okay.
actually is for me because it actually turns me on. And so when they say that, they're full of shit because like you are literally doing the thing that turns me on. And like if I'm like I'm not like I'm not like super attracted to trans women, but I can be. But even if I was, if and that was my main thing, I would not want people to be transitioning to make a society where people are making themselves that for me. Like
Sure.
I don't want women to be wearing the black lipstick like for me. You know what I mean? I want them to. I want to have to put up with whatever ugly, unmakeuped, unlotioned, whatever unshaven, whatever a natural woman is. I want to have to live with that because I don't want them to have to do all kinds of crap just to make me happy. And if they stopped, it would be a lot easier for men to be attracted to a normal, natural, healthy woman. And the fact that they don't stop makes it harder. And so,
Well,
like, I don't want people to transition for me. I don't want people to do anything.
so I'm not saying that non-binary is like an inherently um, like illegitimate gender identity, but what it does feel like is that a lot of the people, especially sort of a VAFAB stereotype, is it's not that they're having like issues with like gender incongruence or dysphoria. It's more so that they dislike the way they are treated in patriarchy, and they think that identifying out of it is like an easy escape when it doesn't really work like that.
Or they just want social credit at art school.
Oh yeah, that too.
Or it's
I
just hot. Or it's just sexy. Or they're just a tomboy. And you're not
mhm,
allowed to be a tomboy anymore, so that's what they are.
sure. Yeah. So, in regarding to like existence of trans women, I understand that I shouldn't be a trans woman for others or for men who find that attractive. But like, what if I'm not doing it for you? What if I'm doing it for, or doing it for you at my expense? What if I'm doing it for you and for me, and we both mutually benefit? Like, why is that bad?
I don't think underlying my philosophy is I don't think that what somebody says makes them happy is what's always best for them.
Hmm.
And you may be transitioning for you, but if I was in control of your life from the moment you started, you wouldn't want me to be control because I would make you do things you don't want to do. I would literally not let you transition. You wouldn't want that. You'd hate me. You would absolutely hate me. But I believe that I would be not letting you do that for your well-being.
Hmm. Okay. I feel like we're circling the drain a bit, and we sort of covered just about anything. Do you think there's anything else important to mention?
No, this is actually a pretty good conversation, but
Excellent.
and I'm glad that you were able to stomach it. Me like me literally saying I like if I was in control of your life, like like it can be very
Well, I,
personally unnerving to have someone tell you shit like that.
I think what's important to me is that you're very obviously coming up from like an angle of like good faith, and like you're not here to like hurt me, even
Yeah,
if like we have a disagreement on like what's best for me.
most people that like turfs and Nazis or
Mhm.
whatever, they just hate you. They don't actually
Yeah,
care. Yeah,
that's
this
correct.
yeah.
All right. Any final thoughts, or should we say goodbye?
Goodbye.
All right. Thank you so much for being on. I thought that was a very interesting conversation.
Yeah, I'm glad we had it. All right. Thank you.
All right. Take
Bye.
care of yourself.
All right. Okay. So, we have nothing left everything is gone. The content. There's no content. The Smeth den is empty. Just like all the Smeth heads. Empty. Empty of thought, except for my thoughts. You thought that, but I thought that. But we can share one moment, huh? It's only going downhill. Well, yeah. You don't always have to think about it. I'm not in charge. I'm not in charge. Is this a mutiny? I don't want to be a Smeth head, you friggin' cultist. Well, me saying that and me talking to you guys like that, kinda, I'm glad that you say that. But you can't stop it. But I'm glad you're fighting it. I have a rambunctious cult, don't I? They like to pretend like they have power, like they're in charge. Oh, to be a child again. I literally saw one of you. Your name was Ant. You know that queen ants live for like 60 years? Most insects are very fragile. They're not built to last. They live for a very short period of time. A lot of insects, they form into their mating stage, and then they mate and then they die. But queen ants live a very long time, and queen bees too, and queen termites. Very, very long time. You could have a pet queen ant for your whole life. Well, hopefully I will be your pet queen ant. Fucking ant. Hello, ant. You know, ants are one of the most successful creatures on the planet. You know that fire ants come from the Amazon rainforest, and they have a special ability to form a raft that other ants don't, and it's completely submergible in water, but they're structured in such a way that they don't hold the water, and they will just buoyantly float back up. And they're one of the most successful species on the entire planet. And now they cover the entire planet, except for like Antarctica. You've got the fire within you.